You don't give the other side everything that they want before you get to the table to figure out what it is that you want. You keep maximum pressure on them so you can actually effectuate real policy changes.
Yeah, well, if I want to put it in real estate terms, you don't get to say, okay, pay me for the building, and I get to keep the building anyways.
Exactly.
And that's, and that's pretty much the deal they made. It's like, here's all this money for we want to buy your hotel or your property. We're going to send you all this money for it. But by the way, you get to keep the hotel and the property. You get the money and the hotel. That's what these guys got. They got to keep their dictatorship and their deal. But obviously, President Trump is a very different kind of president, and that's over now.
I agree. Mr. Secretary, could you talk about the impact of your successful leadership and what appears to be a broader pivot into the Western Hemisphere? We've seen comparisons to the Monroe Doctrine. Can you talk about the opportunities to shake up the foundations of communism in the Western Hemisphere and build strong, long-lasting American alliances in our backyard, whether it's with Bukele in El Salvador, Milei in Argentina, Maria Corina Machado in Venezuela, hopefully eventually, and perhaps others? What does all of that look like to you?
Yeah, well, the baseline is the United States wants to be friends with our friends, right? So for a long time, if you were a U.S. or pro-American ally in the region, we kind of ignored you, and in some cases actually treated you bad. But if you were an irritant like Nicaragua or Cuba or Venezuela, then we made all these deals with you to make you happy, right? So we made deals with the people that hated us, and we either neglected or sometimes were outright hostile towards the countries that were pro-American. So we reversed all of that. And look, I mean, maybe I'll miss a country here, but you talk about places like Guyana, Argentina, Paraguay, Costa Rica. The president in Panama is very pro-American, meaning, he wants to be our ally and our partner. El Salvador, the Dominican Republic. So we've made a concerted effort to reach out to these countries that have governments and leaders that want to be aligned with the United States, not just on regional issues, but international issues, and figure out a way. We want those democratically elected leaders to go back to their people and say, hey, there's benefits to being friends of America. Here are the benefits. At the same time, it allows us to clearly define the countries that have governments that are enemies of the United States, unfortunately, in Cuba, in Nicaragua, and obviously the regime in Venezuela. So we identify